Why a fan can kill you. Now, I could think of multiple ways a fan could kill you. They could stab you with a knife. They could shoot you. They could chuck you off a building. It could have just a spinny blade that deattaches and flings across the room and cuts your head off. Those are all play. It's not a funny joke. Why mentory? I don't really know what that's supposed to mean. This is relevant right now because we were going through about our fucking 15th heat wave in the UK and it's pissing me off. Right? Everything's drying up. It's no good for farmers. It just sets shit on fire. I don't mind a bit of sun in the morning, but it doesn't need to be fucking 30 plus degrees or 100 degrees plus Fahrenheit or whatever Americans say. But as you can see by this first frame, it's fucking hot. Hence why I'm in a vest. I don't think I've wore I have not wore like a pair of trousers or joggers or anything, sweatpants that have gone like down to my ankles. I've only wore shorts. Basically what I'm trying to say is I've only wore shorts for like 3 months. So yeah, anyway, as I don't know why I lift the thing up like the mic isn't here, but this is how I start off every recording session. That's hitting the fucking spot. Okay, let's go.
It is hot right now.
Yes, it is.
Genuinely, historically, record-breakingly hot. And if you are sitting in a room somewhere watching this and it's uncomfortable, you probably have a fan running. Maybe you even have two.
I'll be honest, I actually don't have a fan. I've never really had a fan. I have this, which is like an air purifier thing, but that's because I cough before I go to sleep and because I have like an awful chest and stuff like that. But I don't actually have a fan. We got very lucky in the UK. If you try and buy an air conditioner right now, good luck getting it till like February of next year. There's just none in stock. They all got bought. We got really lucky that we managed to buy one. But the thing is, it's nice in like the room that you set it up in, and it does roughly make, you know, the area cooler, but it's still not amazing. And it uses so much energy. Like, it's so expensive to run an air conditioner all day. So we tend to just turn it on in the evenings before we go to bed because it's manageable in the day. Like hot heat. Yeah, sick, Jack. Hot heat is manageable in the day, but like when you're trying to get to bed, oh my god, it's the worst thing. But if you leave an air conditioner on, it dries your mouth out. You're not supposed to sleep with an air conditioner on. Yeah, it's all fucked. I usually close my blinds so like the heat and the sun doesn't get through. But I'm recording a YouTube video and you want to be able to see something. Maybe you don't want to see anything on the face cam. Maybe I'm chopped and you don't care. You're probably more bothered about the fact that I'm 12 seconds into this video and I've already yapped for probably 2 minutes.
But here's something that nobody tells you. Under the right conditions, that fan is making things worse.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Sorry, I'm pausing again. No one's in my fucking chat to tell me not to, alright? I might have a chat box. It doesn't mean anyone's in there, okay? So shut the fuck up. This is a YouTube video. Yes, because it just pushes hot air around. Like, a fan doesn't cool the air around you. Now, I have seen the method where you put, like, frozen ice bottles or whatever behind a fan, and you can add a bit of salt to the water to make it like stay frozen for longer, but then it takes longer to freeze, and then that pushes cold air. But all a fan is doing is grabbing hot air and pushing it. So even though immediately in front of the fan it might be cooling it down, as soon as the rest of that air gets into the room, it just heats back up again. You know what I mean? No? Okay.
Not a little worse, potentially fatally worse. Blowing hot
Okay, I don't see how it fatal. Yeah.
hot air across your skin when the temperature crosses a certain threshold doesn't cool you down. It speeds up the process, and that'll kill you. And right
Well, yeah, but like there is a cooling effect of like when you. I don't know how that works. How you like adding energy and moving air about makes things hotter. Like if you have a fan and you blow it on yourself and it's hot, it will immediately come out cool, but then it won't. It'll like dissipate back into hot. How does that work? But if someone's blowing a fan on themselves and it's blowing more hot air on them, they're not gonna do that. I mean, there are some pretty stupid people, so maybe they do.
now, in parts of this planet, those conditions already exist. This is the story of wet bulb temperature, a number most people have never heard of.
Wet bulb temperature. The highest we got to the other week in the UK was what was the peak heat? Yeah, for some reason Google's not showing it, but it reached like 30. Yeah, it got to 38 degrees in Lingwood, but I think it was about 36 or 37 where I was. Unbearable, bro. Like, we're not built for it. It's actually fucked. Like, we do need to locally lock in on this whole like planet shit. Otherwise, we're all going to be unironically cooked.
Threshold the human body cannot negotiate with, and a climate reality that is arriving faster than almost anyone expected. But to understand why, you first need to understand what your body is actually doing when it's hot. And to understand why a fan can kill you, you first need to understand how your body cools itself. because most people think the answer is sweating. It's not. Not exactly.
How does your body cool? I actually don't know. But isn't your like body's internal temp like 36 or 37 degrees? So I imagine once you get above that, it's impossible to maintain that level of heat as a human because you can't. Your body's constantly trying to make itself cooler, and it can't do that forever. So you would just die.
Sweating is just the delivery system. The actual cooling mechanism is evaporation. When sweat sits on your skin and evaporates, turning liquid into vapor, it carries away energy with it. Thermal energy, heat. That's the process your body is depending on every single second when you're hot. Without evaporation, sweat is just wet. It doesn't.
So is he going to say when it's humid it's worse? Because obviously when it is humid you sweat but you don't necessarily evaporate. That's why dry heat's better. So the sweat comes out and then because it evaporates and that draws, and because it turns into vapor that draws out heat. Am I just being dumb?
Nothing. This is why humid days feel so much worse
Okay, right. I was along the right tracks.
than dry ones at the same temperature. In dry air, sweat evaporates quickly. You might not even notice you're sweating because it's gone before it builds up. In humid air, on the other hand, the atmosphere is already packed with moisture and evaporation slows right down. You feel drenched. You feel like the heat is suffocating you because, in a very real sense, your cooling system is being limited. Your body produces heat constantly, just from being alive, from your heart beating to your cells burning fuel. At rest, you're generating roughly 80 watts of heat. Do anything physical, and that number climbs fast. Exercise, and you can hit 6, 7, 800.
Jesus. Sorry, we're halfway through 2026. Why am I doing the 6-7? Oh my god, we're over halfway through 2026. We're quite over halfway. Oh, fucking hell, man. I'm getting old. I'm going to be 21 next year. How long am I going to die before? Because obviously if I make it and I make loads of money, like all the rich people are going to be fine because they're not us, because they've got money to get to the places that are going to be good. But there are going to be so many people in the future, bro. They're like, because of the climate, are just going to get, like, if the climate doesn't start reverting itself, there are so many people that are literally just going to die because they don't have the money to get out of the area they're in, and they don't have the resources and the environment to live in and to use. So they're just going to die. Because all the rich people are just going to go up to like fucking Scandinavia, Canada, getting away where it's cooler. And then just everyone that's stuck in the equator is going to get squeezed out and just die. It's actually a fucked world we live in, bro. Right, like my kid, there's a chance my kids literally physically can't live because the planet gets too hot. That's crazy. And we still got fucking guys up the top saying, nah, climate change isn't real. Don't even worry about it. Drill more oil, as you can tell. Donald Trump is not my favorite person in the world.
watts. And all of that heat has to go.
That's because he's gonna. Yeah, sorry. He's gonna be so dead before, like, if he doesn't get shot again. Which, you know, not ideal. I don't particularly want him to get shot, because that wouldn't be good for anyone, no matter what political side you're on. But he's going to be dead before all of it, like, his decisions and shit even have an effect on the world. He's fucking like 80, isn't he? Bro's got to pack it in at some point.
Somewhere. Evaporation is the primary exit route. And when that exit route closes, something has to give. And scientists found a way to measure exactly when that system starts to fail. It's called wet bulb temperature. Most people have never even heard of it. Meteorologists have been measuring this problem for over 200 years using something called a wet bulb thermometer. It's almost comically simple. You take a regular thermometer, wrap its tip in a damp cloth, and expose it to the air. As water evaporates from the cloth, it cools down the thermometer. The reading you get, the wet bulb temperature, tells you exactly how efficiently evaporation is working in that moment. In dry air, the wet bulb temperature is much lower than the actual air temperature because the water evaporates easily and it cools the thermometer significantly. In humid air, that gap closes. The wet bulb temperature creeps toward the actual air temperature, and if the air becomes fully saturated, 100% humidity, there's no evaporation at all. The wet bulb temperature and the air temperature become identical. And this number, the wet bulb temperature, is arguably one of the most important climate metrics that most people have never even heard of.
Okay, well, I'm glad I learned it. That but it makes sense. I don't need to re-explain what he did because he's better at explaining what he did apart from that. But yeah, humidity's just fucked, bro. That's why the UK is so bad because we're such a humid. Even though we haven't had rain, bro, it hasn't rained here in like 2 months. I swear, like on and off, you've had like the occasional shower, but you used to get to August in the UK. Like I remember this, like even a few years ago, you used to get to August, like in school, you'd have a really hot period. It'd be nice, it'd be sunny up until like school ends, and then you go on the summer holiday for 6 weeks, which is like middle of July to like September, and then it would just like rain, it'd be cloudy, it'd be shit. I woke up every morning, and don't get me wrong, I'm not taking this for granted, there's been sun and blue skies pretty much every morning. And then, like, obviously it's nice from, like, 8 till, like, 10, maybe 11 o'clock, because it's cooled down overnight. But then once it gets to 12 o'clock, like it is now, bro, it's outrageous. Like, I was walking through town, I picked up, I'll show you what I bought, actually. Bought a present. I bought a present for my sister. It's one of these Jellycat baguette things. She said she likes Jellycats, and I thought that was cute. There was also a woman at the shop that was actually really lovely, and she was like, I walked in, had no idea where I was going, because it was like a nice artsy shop, and then I think she just realised like it's a common occurrence for like a boyfriend or a guy or a brother, should have said that first, to walk in and have no idea where he's going. But she was nice, and she had a nice smile, and it was the first conversation I've had with like a woman that's lasted over like 10 seconds, even though she was just doing her job. So what the fuck am I on about? Back to the video. God, she was hot. I forgot where I was going. Oh, yes, I was talking about the walk down to the shop. And my God, it was just awful, bro. It's just horrible. Heat's just horrible. I went to Croatia, I went to Split. That was like 36, 37 degrees, and that was humid. I was by the sea. Oh, it was awful.
Because it doesn't just tell you how hot it is, it tells you how hot your body experiences the heat. It tells you whether your cooling system can function or not. And there is a specific wet bulb temperature beyond which the human body simply cannot cope. So, what is that number? And what does it actually mean for your body? 35 degrees Celsius,
Yeah,
wet bulb.
that sounds about right. Because isn't what body temperature? 36 to 37 degrees Celsius. So yeah, right about that point. So it makes sense that it would be around that point where your body just starts to shut down because it can't physically cool itself anymore.
That is the threshold. Above it, the physics stop working in your favor. Your body temperature is approximately 37 degrees. For heat
Or you could just watch the video and he's going to explain the obvious thing, Jack. You fucking spastic.
to leave your body into the surrounding air needs to be able to accept it. At wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees, the air is so hot and so saturated with moisture that evaporation from your skin becomes essentially zero. Your body keeps generating heat, it keeps trying to sweat, but there is nowhere for the heat.
Yeah, well, it's like pouring water pouring water into an empty glass would be like sweating on a normal day because your hot air can go into cooler air. But if you're trying to fill up a full glass, imagine this was full and I'd pour more into it, it would just spill over. It's got nowhere to go, it can't go in the glass. So you're just fucked.
Or the sweat to go. Core temperatures begin to rise. And unlike a fever, where the body deliberately rises the temperature of the body to fight infection, that rise is uncontrolled. Heat stroke, organ failure, and eventually death.
Yeah, touch wood, I don't think I've ever had heat stroke. I've definitely had like headaches, but like, what is the definition of heat stroke? Like, at what point do you reach heat stroke? Because that's just fucked.
And this is where the fan comes in. At moderate temperatures, a fan helps by moving air across your skin and accelerating evaporation.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of a fan. But when the air temperature rises above your skin temperature, roughly 35 degrees, a fan stops helping with evaporation and starts doing something else. It's now blowing air that is hotter than you onto your skin. You are essentially absorbing heat from the moving air. The fan is now a convection heater aimed at your body.
Yeah, I would agree, but then why is it when you blow a fan, even in hot air, how does fast-moving air make it cooler? I still don't understand how that works.
Add high humidity to that, close to the wet bulb threshold, and you have a worst-case scenario. Evaporation is already failing. The fan cannot restart it, but it can increase the rate at which hot air transfers its heat to you. Under those conditions, the fan does not save you. It accelerates the process that'll kill you. This is not a theoretical concern. This is documented. Studies have shown that in elderly people whose cardiovascular systems struggle to compensate, a fan in extreme heat and humid conditions measurably increase core temperatures rather than reducing it. Now, here is the part that should genuinely alarm you.
Okay.
Scientists studying historical climate data believed, until fairly recently, that a sustained wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees was essentially unprecedented in the modern era, something to worry about in the future. A threshold humanity had not yet crossed. They were wrong. A 2020 study published in Science Advances analyzed decades of weather stations.
Yeah, I don't get how people like can deny it. Like, of course, there's the argument. Look, oh, there was a peak in the 70s and the 80s. There was a peak in the 90s, and then it went back down. But like, look at the general trend of the graph. It just goes up, and the peaks become more frequent. Like, look, there was nothing, and then it's a bigger gap, and then it's smaller, and it's smaller, and it's smaller, and then it's just gonna get to, and then it physically can't. How people deny that these days, I do not understand. I used to work with like people that have denied that shit, and it's like, bro, shut up.
Data and had found that the wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees, or at least very close to it, had already occurred in South Asia, in the Persian Gulf, in parts of the American Midwest, and in the Gulf Coast.
That's why I would love to live in. I feel like Florida would be such a cool place to live. But, well, in certain ways, but like, I could not deal with the humidity, bro. That would be fucked. Like, bro, imagine going to fucking Tarpon Springs. My God, like, it's already rough, and then you get the humidity on top of it, bro. What am I saying? Sweet as a fucking cookie.
These events were short, hours, not days. But they happened, and they happened more frequently than anyone had predicted. The Persian Gulf city of Bandar Mashhar in Iran recorded a wet bulb temperature of approximately 34.6 degrees in 2015, combined with an air temperature of 46 degrees.
Oh,
Conditions that set at the absolute edge of human survivability. People lived there, people were outside, and each year the frequency of these extreme heat and humidity events increases. Parts of South Asia, home to billions of people, many of whom work outdoors, many of whom have no access to air conditioning, are projected to experience regular,
yeah,
sustained.
this is what I mean, bro. Like, people are just gonna die. Like, I know that's a horrible thing to say, but they are. You got places in Europe, like, massive fire, like, never seen before, really. Fires in Europe, in Spain, in like Romania, and all these places that would never usually experience them. And they're getting destroyed. And water's driving, like, reservoirs. Not that it's going to fix the issue, but it's how you get away with it year by year. You need to build reservoirs when it's wet in the winter.
Wet bulb temperatures that cross the survival threshold within decades. Not centuries, decades. This isn't a distant problem, it's an arriving one.
Oh, sorry, I know this is kind of off topic and this is a serious topic, but the fact that I now can say I've lived 2 decades being 20 years old, like, I can split my 2 halves of my life into 2 different decades. Like, when you're like 14, 15, you're like, oh, I've lived a decade? I've lived a decade and some change. Like, I've been in 2 eras, bro. 3. I've been in the noughties, the 10s, and the 20s now. Are we going to say that when we get old? Like, oh, back in the 20s. Like, you know how people say back in the 60s, back in the 70s? Like, that sounds right. Back in the 50s. I think anything past, like, the 60s just sounds weird. Or, like, anything before the 60s sounds weird. And then once you get to the noughties, but I was, like, 4. I was born 2006. Hey, I'm baiting out the govy. You know, I might as well give you my fucking... What is my my national insurance number?
But here's the catch 35 degrees wet bulb is actually the optimistic number. Now, here's the thing about the 35 degree wet bulb figure it represents the absolute physiological limit for a young, healthy adult at rest in a laboratory under ideal conditions. Real life isn't that. Studies suggest that for
Yeah, it's
most
true.
people, accounting for age, health, physical effort, and whether they have shade or shelter, dangerous heat stress begins at wet bulb temperature closer to 28 degrees. For elderly people, that number drops even further.
Yeah, easily. Where's my phone? I'm trying to see the humidity. Okay, today it's only reaching 26, but the humidity daily high is 50%. But then on like a day, oh my God, it's getting up to 36 degrees. Oh, fuck. And the humidity is going to be 73%. Fucking hell. Oh. Oh, this is actually dreadful, bro. It's actually, I need to make money and just fucking move. But I know that's bad mentality because it's like, what do all the other people do that can't do that? But someone needs to lock in. A phase adapt needs to come up with a plan or some shit.
For someone doing manual labor outdoors, the physical effort alone means their body is generating far more heat to shed. So, the threshold where they start losing the battle arrives much sooner. This matters enormously when you look at who is most at risk. It is not people sitting in an air-conditioned office watching the thermometer. It is agricultural workers in India and Pakistan. It is construction workers in the Gulf. It is elderly people in European apartments during a surprise heat wave, which is exactly what killed over 70,000 people across Europe in 2003. The number 35 degrees wet bulb is technically where survival becomes impossible for anyone. But the range between 28 and 35 is where the majority of heat deaths actually happen. And we are spending an increasing amount of time in that range. So, back to the fan. The reason that a fan can make you die faster isn't because fans are dangerous. It's because the conditions in which fans stop working and start harming are conditions that now exist on this planet. Conditions that are becoming more and more common, and conditions that most people have no framework for understanding because almost nobody talks about wet bulb temperature. We talk about air temperature, we talk about heat index, feel-like temperatures, and warnings to stay hydrated. But the actual physical limit, the number that tells you whether your body's cooling system can function at all, rarely makes the news. 35 degrees, wet bulb. That's the wall. Below it, your body can fight. Above it, no amount of water, no amount of shade, no fan, nothing changes the outcome.
Yeah, that's actually fun. Like, you could be sat in shade if it got to that temperature, like all the water in the world, everything, like bubbly naked, and you're still going to eventually overheat and just die. I wonder what's worse. What's worse, like, what's worse, like freezing to death or heat dying to death? I guess they're both pretty bad. I don't really want to go out either way.
Physics have closed the door. And the honest, uncomfortable truth is this. Parts of the world are already touching that wall. More parts will reach it, and billions of people living in those regions have no way to get behind the only thing that reliably works above the threshold: air conditioning, which for billions of people on parts of the earth already crossing this threshold isn't an option. But next time it's hot, and right now it is very hot, and you reach for that fan, now you know what it can and cannot do, and why sometimes the thing that you reach for to save yourself is the thing that makes it worse.
Yeah, well, obviously don't use it in a hot room. But that was a cool video. Why Mentry? Subscribe. Cool video. Why dirty water can't kill animals? Add that to the playlist. Why extreme wealth destroys your brain? Add that to the playlist. Yes, I'm adding the most viewed ones to the playlist, but it helps the channel in general. Okay, all right. 35 degree wet bulb temp can kill you 0 views. A fan can kill you 100k views. Yeah, I mean, that's just how YouTube works, bro. You got to draw in the viewer with the thumbnail, and then you've got to answer a little bit of their curiosity with the title, and then deliver on your promise as soon as the video starts, and leave some room for more. I don't know what I'm on about. Most of my videos get like 60 views. It's going up though. We just hit 1,000 subs actually. Fucking sick. Thank you to all of you lot that did that. It only took 11 years. But that's fine, bro. That's like 90 subs a year. That's class. My heart breaks for outdoor workers in extreme heat. They face this deadly reality daily. Yeah, bro, when I went on holiday to Split and it was like 35 degrees, and we're just fighting for the shade or to get to the beach and go in the ocean. And it's like you've got construction workers working on the harbour. Machines on a warm day, even on a cold day, like can be hot enough when they're pumping out and you're standing behind the exhaust and you're working, especially with like tarmac that's hot. Oh my God, I used to be a ground worker. So I knew the struggle. But like, oh my God, you feel horrible, but then what can you do? It's like when you go into a Mackey's and you see an old person working, and it's like you just feel horrible that they're having to work in a Mackey's. But it's a dog eat dog world. What can you do? Anyway, that's about it. In a bit.